You're listening to Tehachapi with Key Budge, Corey Costello, Greg Garrett, and Ashley Whitmore.
It's Tehachapi time. Key Budge, Greg Garrett, Corey Costello today, guys. How are you?
Good.
Doing good, Key. Thank you.
Good. You don't have the energy today. Is this a
I
too
did.
early
Did
of
you
a
hear
recording?
That good. I was like, good. Like there's a lot of energy.
There was good.
We have so much going on, though. You know,
Yeah.
we have a new police chief. We just passed a $42 million budget. You know, on and on and on. But that's not what today's podcast is about.
No.
We're about fun independence celebration.
And before we introduce our guests, so 4th of July, and I think the two guys that get more excited and act like kids about the 4th of July are sitting to my left and right in you two. Every year, you guys absolutely get giddy about the 4th of July.
It goes way back. I mean, some of us have been here for a very long time. I mean, I tell this story a lot, but I remember when the entire town could fit on, Imhoff Field, which is that field between Saracoso and what is now, Jacobson Middle School. And they'd shoot the fireworks off from basically Coy Burnett
I
Stadium.
remember laying on the grass on my back looking up, and the guys shoot, probably Carl, Garrett.
Yeah, they shot them over you.
Shooting, and we'd look up, and then all the sparks would fall all around us.
The 80s were wild. Like there was no safety protocol.
There was no
whatsoever.
insurance. It was the coolest time ever.
Yeah. So those were like memorable nights, and like literally the whole town would fit there. So we grew and got bigger, and things changed. And so anyway, for me, it's cool to be the one who's doing this now and gets to basically say, yes, we want this many fireworks, we want this type of show, and like make people remember it every year. So it's kind of fun to do that because I hope the next generation of kids will be like, oh, how cool were our fireworks, back then? Because now you can pretty much watch them from anywhere.
I remember people used to come to our door, knock on the door, firemen, I think,
Yeah.
and ask for donations for the fireworks show. But now the city of Tehachapi actually sponsors it, the entire fireworks show, not the entire day. We have Kaiser here today with us, helping with the entire day. But $40,000 worth of fireworks, that's a big deal. And people come from all over the region to celebrate with the city of Tehachapi.
Yeah, the Tehachapi Volunteer Fire Department started this in the 1960s, I believe it was, and they would go door to door and ask for donations. It was basically like how big of the show, depending on how much money they got in the in the helmet that they went door to door with a couple months beforehand. So they used to hand dig trenches and that kind of stuff. So technology's changed that, and obviously our budget's healthy enough to be able to afford an awesome show every year. So it's cool.
And part of that, with that growth and the big show and putting on this display for our community, there's community partnerships that are a big part of it. And today we've invited in two members of our Kaiser Permanente team, Melissa Costello and Kristen Weber. Welcome to Tehachapi.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yes, we're excited to be here.
And it's about community partnerships and things that we come together for this. We talk about the 4th of July real quick and our fireworks display, but it doesn't happen unless we have the private sector, what Kaiser Permanente is doing to step up to be partners here in the community so everyone can enjoy the 4th of July. So let me first say thank you, and we're looking forward to it. So
yeah, I mean, the All-American 4th of July Festival is part of the day. I mean, the fireworks are the culmination, but the festival was part of the day, and it's taken on other forms in the past. For many years, it was the hot dog festival, and there was that kind of stuff. And so we rebranded it a few years back and made it more of an inclusive, just sort of all-American festival with different things sprinkled in throughout the day, and it's gotten bigger every year. And this is where our partners this year, as it's the All-American 4th of July Festival is presented by Kaiser Permanente. It's where they come in because this helps us, pay some of the bills for the day, rent the sound system, pay these musical acts that we have and that kind of stuff. So it's super important, and it's a very fun day, and every year we try to add just a little bit to that festival as well. So
it was definitely an easy yes for us when Corey approached us to sponsor the day. Can't imagine a more fun place to celebrate the 4th of July than here in Tehachapi. And Kaiser Permanente, we've been, in this community for a while now, and it is part of our extended KP family. So we're really excited to celebrate with the city of Tehachapi and the folks that are going to come out to the festival.
Well, we need to step it up based upon what you just said. Next year, we're going to do twice as much. So let's double our budget, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now
we slip that in. That was the easiest yes.
We really appreciate your partnership, honestly.
And we do things, and I think it's a great tie in with Kaiser, with obviously everything you do kind of from an organizational standpoint and the messaging you put across. But we try to keep this it's a simple festival. We don't go too commercial. We don't go too crazy and make it this, because we want to keep a little bit of that hometown feel to it. We add some little Americana pieces as well for the kids and that sort of thing to really keep it a lot of, hometown, even though we attract visitors from all over East Kern for this thing. But it's a very appropriate, I think, event for Tehachapi.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the all-American city, totally, when you drive through Tehachapi, that's the first thing you think. Great all-American small town feel, and really excited to be here. And also really excited you guys are bringing back the kids parade, right? Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Great segue. That was one of the things that, since I think we didn't have the festival in 2020 with COVID-19, and then 2021 we got it back in 2022, same thing. But we were getting that request like, hey, can you guys bring the kids parade back? And so this year we figured out a way to do it, and we're excited about having the Tehachapi Police Department sort of lead that. The American Legion, Post 221 right next door, is going to help out quite a bit in that. They get the little junior riders, so they're the sons of the American Legion and the Legion riders. They put the little motorcycle cuts on and they get on their bikes and that kind of stuff. It's really cool. So that's going to be a big popular piece. And then we take the kids after that, put them on the stage and let them do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the national anthem, and then you guys take stage to give us some great sponsor comments.
Is that going to be you this time, Melissa, or am I going to have to do that as well?
No, I think I'll hand that off to you as well. I'll be with my kids at the kids parade.
Oh, that's true. And mine are too old for the kids parade now.
With the kids parade, because parents are listening, what do we do? Where do we go?
Yeah.
How do we sign up?
Super simple. There's really no sign up. We need you to show up right across City Hall, Robinson Street. There's a public parking lot. We're going to have that closed. It's going to be our sort of staging area. It's also going to be our decorating area. So we'd encourage you to decorate ahead of time. But if you don't have time to do it or just forgot, and the morning of you decide, hey, let's go to the parade, that's fine. We're going to have some American flags and some streamers and some stuff to tape on your bikes and scooters. We ask that they be non-motorized, because now kids can get the motorized scooters and the motorized e-bikes and that sort of thing. Want to keep that out. Want to keep it sort of human-powered for the time being. So just non-motorized bikes, scooters, skateboards, wagons, that's all fine too. And you just show up here. We're going to have decorating starting about 10:30, and we will start at 11:30 up Robinson towards Central Park, and then onto the Central Park walking path by Wells Education Center.
Well, since we moved into the kids parade that got brought up, Corey, let's kind of kick off with how the day starts, and let's kind of run through some of those events. I want to get into Kaiser, and we want to talk about how your footprint is growing here in Tehachapi. But before we do that, let's just share a few of the things that kick off the day, and then we'll recap with everything.
Yeah, for sure. So the 5K, the All-American 5K, TVRPD, they're still taking registrations. That'll start at 7 a.m. right there at the Scout Hut, which is in the backside of Central Park. And then right after that's over, the Ed Grimes Memorial Pancake Breakfast benefiting Tehachapi High School football will start. That goes from about 8 to 10. And those are kind of the big kickoffs, and folks running in the 5K have the pancake breakfast included as well. And TVAA, the Arts Association, their craft booths actually open up pretty early. They'll be open about 9. And then we'll sort of get things set up for sound, and our first musician will hit the stage at about 11:30, about the time the kids parade starts. And that's Avery Napier. She's been here on Tehachapi in the past. She also played at Farmers Market. She'll take a quick break at noon. That's when we'll have our sponsor comments, Mayor's Welcome, the Kids Pledge Allegiance. Christina Scribner will sing the national anthem, so we're excited about that. And then we'll have, that'll really kind of kick the day off. I mean, the food booths open at 11, but that noon to 4 time is when we're really going to be busy. We have, I think, 8 or 9 different food vendors. That's why I like the All-American theme, because our food vendors, everything from Chinese food to Mexican food to go down the list, because that's really, our e pluribus unum, right? That's the same thing with food. We are a very diverse country when it comes to food options. So it's nice.
Do we have hot dogs?
We do have hot dogs.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
bratwurst.
And what about apple pie?
I'm not sure if that's
no apple pie.
There's probably an apple pie.
We need an apple pie
dessert
vendor. Or you can go to Conan's.
You can go to they'll be closed. Tehachapi.
Tehachapi on Mill Street.
Yes, but we'll have so we have a lot of these really awesome and diverse food booths throughout the day. And yes, the Tehachapi High School softball will be taking over for the pancake breakfast, folks, for the football team. And softball is cooking hot dogs and bratwurst all day long as well. So we'll have that. So we got that box checked, and a bunch of other things we'll get to. But that's kind of the morning up until our noon welcome.
And we're able to do all of that in part because Kaiser Permanente has stepped up to sponsor this year. So let's talk about KP here in Tehachapi. And the footprint has grown from what I remember when you guys first started coming up. It would be kind of the mobile clinics that started. And now we've got, real facilities. And I know there's future growth discussion. So let's talk about the KP operation here in Tehachapi.
Sure. Thanks, Key. So back in 2012, we actually started with the mobile health vehicle coming up a couple times a week. And that actually led us to be able to open our current location at 1100 West Tehachapi Boulevard, just in the Starbucks parking lot in town. We opened in February of 2016. In that space, we've actually done construction twice and expanded in that same footprint facility to where we are now. So we actually have about 7,500 patients in the area, which is pretty large. We have a full staff of providers in the medical office building, registered nurses. And then we have a really amazing staff. Our providers right now, we actually have 4, which is probably the most we've had since we've opened the facility.
So is a provider a doctor?
It could
or
be a
PA?
So we have 3 physicians, medical doctors, and then we actually just onboarded back in May our nurse practitioner. And she's actually been working in the community for over 20 years. So she's very well known. Her name is Frances Williams. And then our physicians that we have in the office, we have Dr. Frank Lang, Dr. Monica Kumar, and Dr. Mariana Ravello. So we see patients all the way up from newborns to geriatrics. Some of the other services that we really like to promote are walk-in lab services that we have. Those are, you do not need an appointment for that. And our lab is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So from a Kaiser Permanente perspective, it doesn't really matter who your personal doctor is or your primary care physician. You can come to our office if you live in this community to be seen, to get your laboratory work done. We have a wonderful partnership with Adventist Health Tehachapi Valley Hospital for our radiology services. So if you need like a general x-ray of your foot or your chest or something like that, and the physician orders it, you can go to the hospital here in town and have that done. So those are some of the big services that we provide here. So we've been open for 7 years at our current location, and we're just looking to continue to expand. And, things like this really get our name back out there. A lot of the times we sometimes see, people will come in and they didn't know we were here. And so we try to help educate our patients on the services we provide, and the fact that they don't have to drive to Bakersfield or Lancaster for some of these basic general services that we have available.
I think touching on real quick on what she mentioned about your primary care physician, for years, mine was in Bakersfield, and I didn't see the guy. I just kept going to whatever doctor I could, because it was easier just to get an appointment in Tehachapi, and they all share notes. It all goes into the system, and so for years I went and just kept seeing doctors here, and so now finally Dr. Kumar is my primary. So that's where but she's in the building now. But for anybody, if you have a primary in Bakersfield or Lancaster, you moved up from another community and you have Kaiser, you can take advantage of these services. And these doctors are going to share notes and that sort of thing. And you're going to get that level of care no matter who your primary care physician is.
My
wife and I.
get my job.
Oh, sounds like
that was a great PR perspective.
I have some inside information.
But my wife and I have been members of Kaiser for years and years, and we love the facilities and the people and the doctors, and so kudos.
Thanks.
Good stuff.
Melissa is a tireless advocate for this community. I call her my partner in crime. I'm so grateful to have her living here and her family living here so that she can provide us that insight. She's constantly looking for ways that we can improve efficiency for our members here in Tehachapi, because the last thing that we want to do as Kaiser Permanente is make it more difficult for you to get your care. And so we're always looking for ways to make it easier to get your care. So yes, Corey, thank you. Our online medical records really help that. And just like you're saying, you can have your primary care doctor in Bakersfield. You could also, hopefully, switch it to your primary care doctor in Tehachapi. But the Tehachapi Clinic is open and available for all those great.
And then follow up, you have a nifty app. with the app. You can prescriptions, make appointments, look at
Yes.
lab results. I mean, it's quite amazing. It's endless.
It is. And, when COVID hit, we really had to look at how we delivered care, right? We moved to a lot of, I think it was 80% of our visits were telehealth visits. Now we're getting back to some sort of balance and normalcy, but it really allowed us to pivot quickly and use technology a little bit differently. We've always been kind of known for our use of technology. But during the pandemic, we really had to get tight on those telehealth visits, and those are really set up well and for success for our members as well.
I've seen those actually as a trend in healthcare now. Not just obviously COVID kind of forced us, but there have been some good things that came out of the pandemic in terms of efficiency. And one of those is that because when people call and say, I've got this sore throat, a doctor knows, they've seen this 1,000 times, and then, okay, this is most likely XYZ. I can prescribe you this and get it. You don't have to go into the waiting room. You don't have to take and go down to the doctor's office. A lot of the stuff can be handled because, again, they've seen this so many times, and so it's pretty efficient to allow not only access for members, but also just the doctors and the next kind of level of care.
Seems like that would be great for guys because males don't go to the doctor, right? We wait until we have a serious problem, right?
I was in doctor's office the other day. They said, "What are you here for?" I said, "I have no idea. My wife made my appointment." I literally said that. I don't know. Ask her.
But honestly,
it's
that
true.
seems to me like that would be a great addition to male care.
Yeah, and really for anyone that is working traditional hours, the medical office building is open during traditional business hours, right? 8 to
5, correct,
you.
Monday through
Sorry,
Friday.
I don't want to mess that up. Also. But if you're in the workforce and you're trying to ensure that you're getting your health and your spouse is not having to make appointments for you, using the app, the Get Care Now feature is phenomenal. I always say it's KP's best kept secret, which is not going to be secret for much
Not
longer.
now,
As we keep talking
right?
about
We
it.
just revealed it.
That's your next marketing campaign.
But it's
Telemedicine for the stubborn.
It's really
Hey, if
amazing.
KP needs a little help, just tell him to call us.
I will. I mean, gosh, you guys,
It's a good commercial. The stubborn man doesn't want to go to the doctor, and you've got telemedicine as his answer.
And that's one thing that I wanted to bring for me, telemedicine is huge. Yeah. One, I don't like going in a waiting room if I'm not for whatever it is, I'm going in for an ortho and I don't want to sit next to him that's sick coughing. And so I feel a little bit better when I'm able to handle that telemedicine follow-up, or like here at work, all of a sudden we're busy, but I know at 11 a.m. I've got this telemedicine, and all of a sudden my phone rings and it's this automated, and it's a boom, I'm in, and in 5 minutes, we're in and out.
Yeah.
It just technology has just been a game changer. And like you said, Corey, coming out of the pandemic, there are some positives, and that's one of the huge things that we can kind of take away.
Yeah.
Well, and I found the doctors, nurses, staff, everybody at KP is incredibly efficient, educated, all about patient care. They want to make sure that you get in, get out, but you also get the care that you deserve.
Yeah.
And Greg, let me ask you this from your city manager perspective, and particularly here for Tehachapi, what it meant when KP decided to come and establish themselves here for our community. Because one of those key things is, and Corey, you chime in too, as economic drivers, having medical facilities and their presence makes a difference.
Okay, I don't know if you could actually capture it well enough, but think about a wheel and the spokes of a wheel. And medical care is one of the spokes. Education is a spoke. Recreation is a spoke. But before we had KP, Kaiser Permanente, before we had Adventist Hospital, there was a giant void. And as we grow, as we mature, when you're trying to attract talent, you're trying to attract younger families into your community. By the way, our community is our demographics, we're getting younger. That's a good thing. Now, I'm not getting any younger. I'm not sure how that's happening, but we're attracting younger, healthier, more educated families. KP is definitely a part of that. It's a key component. If you don't have medical care, it doesn't matter how old you are, but especially as you age, you don't want to leave and go down the hill, right? Because, then you need help, and eventually we lose residents, and that's not what we want. We want the long-termers to be here long-term.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose anybody. And so KP is definitely a key part of that that whole business model. When you have a healthy community, it includes healthcare. Education and healthcare may be the top two.
And that's and from the economic standpoint, a lot of stuff what I do is kind of to reduce those TOMs, right? Trip off mountain. We want to reduce those because what happens is if you go to Bakersfield or Lancaster, Palmdale for a doctor's appointment, what are you also doing down there? You're most likely shopping while you're down there, probably for stuff you could get here. I mean, granted, there are some things you can't get here, but we have actually just cut some of that retail leakage, about 9% from the last fiscal year to the just concluded fiscal year or soon to be concluded fiscal year, based on some stuff I just saw this morning. So we want to reduce those trips because if we can keep you here for your doctor's appointment, you're going to shop locally and not go necessarily to Costco or whatever in Bakersfield. So those things help us just from an economic standpoint. You're going to have your dinner probably here at a restaurant and not in Bakersfield, or a lunch in Bakersfield, or that sort of thing. So, with that though comes some demands because people get used to not leaving the mountain, and then they go, why can't I do this? And then they talk to Melissa about, well, why can't I go to this place and that place? And I'm so used to it. So I think it does create some demand for people to stay here once we spoil them a little bit.
Yeah, Kristen, so I'm betting, and I don't know because I haven't asked you before, didn't do it as a pre-question. But I would bet when you look at your Bakersfield and your Lancaster Palmdale operations, you start looking at the zip codes of who's coming down, and that probably influenced why we needed to increase our footprint here in Tehachapi, because you started seeing 7,500 people, and it's like, well, why don't we build in Tehachapi and invest there? And then that takes pressure off of your other facilities for you've got growth in other major metro areas.
Yeah, it sure does. When we came up here with the mobile health vehicle, it was really, it was a pilot program. We didn't know how the city of Tehachapi would respond, if it would mean that we would see our membership grow. It grew very, very quickly. I think we started out coming only 1 day a week. Very quickly it was 2, and then it was 4. And other smaller communities also had that opportunity with the mobile health vehicle. But Tehachapi and the city and their partnership with us really embraced us coming here and made it a very easy decision for our leadership team at the time to create a brick and mortar space.
It was important to me. Whenever we decided, we had discussed this a lot prior to bringing the mobile health clinic up. We kept telling Kaiser, it's going to work. It's going to work. We're all about it. We're all about it. And man, it did. People were, instead of going to Bakersfield for lab work, they could come to the bus, if you will. Yeah. And I know my mom and dad been Kaiser. I'm a Kaiser baby, actually, from way back. I won't say how many years ago, but it's just been a success. So thank you again.
Well, and thank you to the community of Tehachapi, because without that support, without that engagement, without that partnership with the city, we wouldn't be able to continue to offer more services. And that's what Melissa really tries to do every day is talk to our members that are here and say, what do you need? And be that tireless advocate to make those.
We need to start talking about that next step.
Yeah.
What could that be?
I mean, 7,500 of like 40,000 in the area is about just under 20% of the entire poppopulation.
Yeah.
Put it in that perspective.
Which is really, really great.
Yes.
And I think there's room and opportunity for continued growth. And I love to hear that the demographic is
getting younger.
That's really interesting, because we usually think of this community as a prime target for our Medicare folks. In fact, we have really a great Medicare rep that's out here all the time talking to folks. But really wonderful to know that demographic's coming down, because it allows us to change our strategy around what types of services we provide here.
Right. So Corey, let's today's topic is 4th of July. And thanks to Kaiser Permanente, we've got an incredible schedule of events. We've touched on most things, but let's kind of go back to what to look forward here on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so at noon we'll have some of those things I mentioned: the kids pledge allegiance, the national anthem. The mayor will have a few comments. Our sponsor here will have a few comments as well. And then the food booths are open, like we said. They're all walks of life on that in that regard. And then the live music. So like I said, Avery Napier is going to be on stage first for a little bit, 11:30. She'll pick back up again at 12:15. Go to about 12:45. And then Tom Carlson will play from 1 to 2. Tom's pretty well known around the sort of winery tour here in Tehachapi. He's played quite a bit. Played the farmers market earlier this year, so he's solid. And then I'm excited about our headliner this year is the Salt River Cats. They are. So
Salt River Cats or Salt River Boys?
Well, I wrote it wrong on the schedule.
Oh, I was going to.
Yeah, the one I
not
printed
that it matters too
Right.
much because I think it's a brand new,
Say
brand
boys
new.
and cats.
Yeah,
How'd
it's
that?
the Salt River Cats. It's a cool way to say you cool cats.
Stray cats, man.
So we've got Django Stoffer, who's been on the show. He's played Farmers Market. Anyway, last year he kind of helped us out in a pinch because we had one of our artists get sick, and so he came in last minute and played and did a great job. So
And he plays over at West Lane quite often.
yeah,
He's really good.
He's really good, and he's got this he's got this ability just to bring musicians together. And so I went to Django and I said, "Do you have a band or a group that could headline?" I mean, we had Mule Skinner Revival 2 years in a row. They were fantastic, but I want to change up the lineup a little bit. And he said, "Yeah, I've got this band. It's pretty much a duet, Salt River Cats, and we've got percussion and guitar and folk." And I said, "Perfect, sounds great." So it's a Salt River Cats will be on from 2:15 to 4, kind of wrap up the festival.
And that's all for the listener at Central Park.
All at
Right?
Central
If you're
Park.
new to
yes.
Tehachapi or going to visit Tehachapi, that's in Central Park, downtown
Yes.
Tehachapi.
Yeah, and we're adding a couple new things this year on the food side. We got a couple food trucks actually, so they'll be on E Street. That way, just a little safer that way. But Semper Fries, who was here last year, they've done West Lane. They do amazing food. They'll be here. Maria's Kitchen, who moved over from the Central Coast, she'll have her truck out, and of course, all of our regular favorites and folks that have been around for several years will be here too. And then at 5:00, the kind of action. So we shut it down there at Central Park, and then at 5 we go over to the rodeo grounds. We have Bad Bulls, TMRA, and their event from 5 to 9, and then 9:00 sharp, the fireworks spectacular at Tehachapi Municipal Airport, firing off on the north side. The great thing about that location is you can see it from a lot of places. I mean, I saw
You can be up on Highline.
Well,
and
I even
watch.
saw P-Dubs advertising like, "Come to our parking lot," because you can see it
that's
because
a
it's
great idea.
elevated.
Okay.
So, I know the Vineyard Church, same thing. They're kind of elevated, and so they invite people to come sit in their parking lot. And so there's plenty of spots to watch it from, so you can be in the midst. I mean, some of us like to be right up in front. And just to see that kind of, like Greg said back in the day, whether ash rains down on you, but not quite anymore. We have safety regulations now, but and then I'll start at 9:00, and it's about 25 or so minutes this year. It's a big one. There's a lot of stuff, and matter of fact, I talk about these safety precautions because we have several 6-inch shells that would be fired off. There's this 2,500 foot clearance radius of people we have to keep free of that area because we're using such large fireworks these days. So that's our little addition every year. It's what can we do? Bigger and louder.
I tell Corey every year, I want something bigger next year.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Bigger finale.
It's so awesome. It's so much fun to celebrate our independence as a nation. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw the damper on things, but I want to remind that all other fireworks are illegal, and that the Tehachapi Police Department and the Kern County Fire Department will be out enforcing that. So if you purchase safe and sane fireworks in Bakersfield or Lancaster, don't bring them here because they are illegal here. We want you to enjoy this massive show that we just talked about, and thanks to Kaiser Permanente for helping sponsor. And that's how we grow every year because of our sponsors and relationships that we have with our community partners.
Yeah, it helps us offset a lot of those costs, so it's certainly appreciated.
In Kaiser Permanente, you sponsor the music at Farmers Market
Yep.
also.
Do,
Right?
yes.
So every Thursday night from 4 to 7, we have music in Centennial Plaza sponsored by Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah, I got to come up one Thursday night to
sure.
listen to that.
Yeah,
It's an amazing time. It's there's so many people, fresh fruits and vegetables, healthy eating,
Yes, it's
right?
And
It's
some
so
unhealthy
Okay, I can say that was the
A little bit of
second
that.
easiest yes that
There
Melissa
you
asked
go.
me.
Don't tell her about the cotton candy, but still,
Yeah, we'll pass by that.
But amazing food.
right.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, let me ask you, is there anything that we haven't talked about on the KP side that you guys would like to mention to the community?
I would just say if you have questions or you need an appointment, come by our office. Sometimes that's a little bit easier than calling through our call center. We have easy parking. We're close to town. So if you have questions, if you need an appointment, if you need your kids' sports physical with school coming up, stop by the office. We're happy to make you an appointment. And with 4 providers on site now, we have appointments available for the community.
And no emergency care. So this is a by appointment only. So if you have an emergency,
Go to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
911,
Yes.
hospital, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Just to clarify, it's not a hospital, it's a clinic.
Yeah, thank you.
And there is a difference.
Yes, there is. I mean, if you are experiencing an emergency, go to the emergency room, please.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
911 And
But if y'all want to open urgent care up here one day, we would not have a problem with that.
You know,
the
this is
first
problem
one
being
in.
bookended by the Costellos, right?
Yeah, I tell you what, I've been on this for a long time. The first one in for emergency or urgent care is going to be a big winner.
That's true.
Big winner. I'll say it again. I've been trying to convince Adventist and KP.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's a big deal.
So you're going to take that back with
I
you,
will
right?
take that back to both Adventist and KP leadership. I think one of the cool things, though, Melissa, too, is that your team they're all from Tehachapi, right? And one of our doctors is as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. So all the back office staff, including myself, we do live in the community or very close by. So we're a little spoiled when we have to drive 5 minutes to work. So we shop here, we live here. We know a lot of the patients who come in, and we have really good rapport with those patients. And really, at the end of the day, I have to say that I have really amazing staff who are always willing to go above and beyond for our patients. And then our providers, we do have one physician here who does live locally, the other, or two now actually, and the other two do come up from Bakersfield, but we're grateful to have them all.
They'll eventually move up here.
I know. How could you not?
Right.
Spend that
I
much
try.
time during the day up here. It's so beautiful.
All right. So is there anything as we wrap things up, Corey? We hit on everything. We're going to put on our social media the list of the events. We've sent out the press release, so all of this should be in our local newspapers.
Our website, too, liveuptehachapi.com, has got a whole 4th of July section right on the front page. You can click on that page, see everything. The Loop already has their 4th of July guide out with all this stuff in there. And then, we'll have some social media posts coming up with our entertainment lineup, some of the food vendors as well, so you can kind of see what they're cooking and think that's what I want that day.
Did you say it's up on our website?
It is up on our website right now.
It has its own independent page with the list?
Right on the front. It's the front page. You click on that, it'll take you to the 4th of July page, and you can see everything that's happening.
So I'll
day.
create a QR code
There you go.
that ties to that, so that way we can put that QR code out for those that are, since we talked about telehealth and all the digital technology, that you can find the schedule just as quick.
And Tehachapi is thriving because of Kaiser Permanente.
That was a drop.
Did you hear that?
Excellent.
I was just sitting here thinking when Key was talking, I'm like, I got to say that.
I need
But
that
no,
snip.
but isn't it true though?
It is.
The partnership, healthy living, and the care for each other, whether it's mental care, physical care, recreation care. We've been talking about the 4th of July events, but it's a package, and we thrive together.
We really do. Thank you so much, Greg, for saying that.
Yes, well, I mean it.
Sound clip. Look at that.
I know. I think that's just the perfect way to end it.
I'm getting good at
Greg
this.
just doubled next year's budget. I'm just saying. Always the salesman.
That was not the intent.
Well, Kristen, Melissa, thank you for taking the time and joining us, and thank you for sponsoring for the community. I mean, we appreciate it, but the community really does, because these two, Corey and Greg, get a lot of feedback about the 4th of July, lots of questions that come through, but it doesn't happen without these collaborations and community sponsorships. So thank you so much.
Can we do fireworks that say KP?
Oh,
like if you
really
throw it,
sense.
whoosh, like the Fantasia
Can make their
at
logo.
Disneyland?
Well, now
Ooh,
people
the
do drone
logo.
shows. The drones go up and they make stuff. Like, we can look into that too.
that would be
Might need to
cool.
quadruple the budget for that.
That's
We
a
can make it
2024
happen.
goal right there.
Yeah, exactly. A few other things too. I want to thank a few other partners too on 4th of July, just so I don't forget. Obviously, Kaiser Permanente, our presenting sponsor. WM sets us up every year with portal-led service and trash and all that stuff at Central Park.
absolutely.
The Loop newspaper, as we pointed out, also the American Legion Post 221. Not only do they have the Wall of Valor, which is super awesome. Every year they make that a little better. And they're also going to be the color guard for our noon ceremony, as always. And then the Tehachapi Valley Wrestling Club, they've got the beer garden going on. They do that every year as a major fundraiser, so thanks to them for their help. And then Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Park District, they've got the 5K. They allow us use of the Central Park for this event, so they do a little work ahead of time too to keep the park in great shape. So thanks to all of them to make.
And a
this
lot of
festival.
the unsung volunteers, people behind the scenes, lots
Yeah.
of people doing lots of work.
Tehachapi Public Works, Tehachapi Police Department, they'll all be on scene.
TMRA
Yeah.
for the Bad Bulls. We
Exactly.
could go on and
We've
on.
got
I mean,
lots.
there's a lot of people. That's what makes Tehachapi so great.
Yeah.
It's community, once again, Key.
Yeah. And the community for coming out, participating in all these events, and having such a great attitude about it. They come out here wanting to celebrate. It's a very unique community. I've been here over 20 years, absolutely love it. And we're very unique. And I think that part of it is none of us want to be LA. None of us want to be a big city. We all choose to live here because of this unique community feel. So, and it's about this conversation that we've had today. It's just special.
Yep.
It is.
All right. Well, again, Kristen, Melissa, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having us.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having us.
All right, folks, if you've got a question based on today's conversation, you can send it to media@tehachapicityhall.com. We'll make sure we get it to Kristen or Melissa or Corey or Greg, myself. We'll get the answers for you. If you got a suggestion for a future show, you just let us know. We appreciate the time you spend with us, and we'll catch you again soon right here on Tehachapod.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi, featuring the community members who make this such a special place to call home. If you have a question or a thought you'd like to share, email media@tehachapicityhall.com. Thank you to Gary Mazzola for sharing his song, This is Tehachapi.